if it sounds good or not. Are
For
you
sure.
are you not drinking again tonight?
I am not.
I'm gonna be on your train, man. I got two guys coming into town tomorrow, or no, my buddy Gnome's coming into town tomorrow, and then Aliaz is coming in on Friday. And I was like, dude, I can't drink tonight. I can't, I had a couple beers last night, but
Sure.
my buddy sent me this Bravis Brewing Company as a joke. It's a non-alcoholic beer, and I know the non-alcoholic beers are a lot better than they used to be. So let's give this one a go. I know the Brew Show is getting a lot of views on his non-alcoholic stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah,
awesome.
man, it's interesting. I know they have some non-alcoholic yeasts out now too, and it's an interesting thing.
Non-alcoholic yeast. How does that work? It doesn't eat sugar.
Right. So basically, I mean, there's a couple of different ways that you can accomplish that, but what it seems to be is just like a really low fermenting yeast where it only ferments like a really small portion. Now, when Saucy bought us, I one of the first things I did, I went to Brewdog in Columbus and we did an NA collab with them.
Okay.
And that's really what they did. It's a low gravity beer to start, and then they do like an arrested fermentation. So they kind of stop fermentation, but it also starts low too. And then they'll just blend it down if they need to get it under 0.5%.
But wouldn't it be super malty?
It is, yeah, but the starting beer is really really small.
Okay.
So that's the crazy thing.
So
Yeah,
your
it's
OG gravity's like 1020 or something.
yeah, and maybe even lower. I'm trying to remember. It's a weird little science, man, and I think there's a reason why. I'll be interested to see what you think about that. What's your impression of Athletic,
Loved it. Athletic was great,
dude?
and the other one was good. What's the other? It's got the square logo.
Yeah, I can't remember, dude. I had some Athletic like a year ago, and I mean, if you just handed it to me
You
and
wouldn't
said
know.
it's a beer, I would just be like, oh, this is beer.
Yeah.
And I think we both had that stuff before where it's like really wordy and weird and stuff.
I
But
th- I think that they're honing it in. I really do, and it's rad to know that there's people out there that just love the taste of beer. It's not all about just getting that buzz on. Like people want the
sure.
taste of good beer, and like you said, people that brew beer, we should. I think us commercial brewers or home brewers or just beer connoisseurs should be able to sniff that non-alcoholic stuff out instantly. But when
Sure.
it's tougher to tell, that's a good YouTube video. Just put the
Yeah.
non-alcoholic one in there because I think I could tell the difference between all the St. Pauli's Girl and the O'Douls and all those other NA stuff that was around 10, 15, 20 years
Sure.
ago. But the non-alcoholic game is getting weird. It's getting big.
Yeah, it is.
What if it's
It's gonna be
Mormons,
interesting
bro?
to
What
see
if
to
it's
me, like,
Mormons that take over the beer industry? You know what I mean, that's not that far fetched. They just come in and just kill it and just buy out Budweiser and AB InBev and yeah. They can't hear
well,
me.
man, dude, Budweiser's still hurting, dude. That's wild. What's going on with
It's
them?
wild, brother. Really quick, we got Adam Makes Beer in here. I love when this guy is on. Typically, there's 3, 4 guys on here. We're just doing a hangout. This guy, well, he's got some big news I'm going to jump to in a second here. But we've been having some really good streams lately. Big shout out to everybody in here, man. And, Ron Barnes, Todd Porter, Nathan McVeigh. Jerry, what's up, man? He's wearing the Homebrew for Life t-shirt in that picture right there. I love that. Jaggers, what's up, man? Good job with the content. Untitled Art, yes, good job. Thanks, Ron Barnes. It was Untitled Art, and then probably Athletic, who are the two biggest NAs right now
Yeah,
that I'm seeing in
yeah,
circulation that are clearly
yeah.
craft beer. They're clearly
Sure,
not in Walmart or in Target. I mean, you got to kind of
sure.
look for it. But this is Adam Makes Beer. He is at Cartridge Brewery, but he's got an announcement, and he said he's cool to talk about it. I don't think anybody's in trouble. I'm sure there's maybe some broken hearts, but he got bought out by non-alcoholic Mormons. And I'm just kidding, man. So, so what's up, man? What's going on in your world?
Oh man, well, about a couple weeks ago. So the funny thing is it ended up to be on my birthday. I just turned. I thought I was turning 45. I turned 46 though. That's never a good thing when you don't actually remember how old you are.
Yeah, just lie.
But yeah, it was last week. I was heading up. I was heading up to Michigan. There's a camping trip I've been doing for at this point longer than we have, and I think we've been doing a camping trip with some of my high school buddies for like 25 years.
Nice.
I was on my way up for that, and I got a call. I'd been talking that week to a place in Mason, Ohio, which is really close to Cartridge, a place called Sonder Brewing. And they were looking for a
Can we get
new
a
director of
spelling
brewing
on
operations.
that? S-A-N
Yeah,
S-O or
Sonder.
S-O-N.
Sonder.
Sonder.
Yeah, they've been doing some good work on the metal front. They won at GABF for their Kolsch, which is called Voss. And but one of the things I love is that they just do an absolutely killer job with their lagers. All their stuff is really good, but I'm always a sucker for a lager. And the original main guy there, who is still there, Chase, he was lead brewer over at New Glarus before this project started. So they hired Chase from New Glarus back in 2018, and yeah, man. So I'm going to be joining that team. I'm really excited about it. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but it's as far as the resume goes, director of brewing ops is a bump, and I'm just looking forward to it, man.
Something new.
Yeah, and the cool thing is it's going to be a whole new range of equipment. They run a 30 barrel quality tank solution system, I believe.
That's a huge system.
Yeah, they've got a good amount of automation in it, but they've got a lot of cool, I mean, to me, bells and whistles that make the job easier. They have a CIP skid.
Okay.
So, your chemicals are ready to go whenever.
You're going to have people in here asking you for jobs right now. Speak of the devil, Todd Porter, hire me on your team, man. I don't know if this is how the process works, but I don't think it could hurt.
For sure. But no, man. It's,
subscribe to his channel. He'll put in a word for you. I'm just kidding.
They're looking to, I think they're going to be doing about 7,500 to 8,000 barrels this year, and kind of targeting up to 10 and maybe a little bit north of there over the next few years. So
Sonder.
Looking forward to it, man. And it gives me it's going to be a whole hell of a lot of content, man, because every time I'm learning something, hopefully other people are too with what I'm doing over there on the channel. So
new system,
just really excited about it.
New equipment. Yeah. Well, congratulations, man. You're getting a lot of love in the comment section here, man. What's up, everybody? What's up, Cowboy Brewer? Thanks. Welcome to Barrage Army, man. Get over here, Barrage. I wasn't going to drink tonight, but I might have a couple beers for you. It sounds like it's a good move. People leave jobs all the time nowadays, and there's no stigma. Our dads and grandfathers, they had one job, but I think we live in a world now where you just kind of have to go where the money goes, and I don't know why you left. You don't have to get into that. I don't know if it's because there was something going on with your previous employer. Maybe this is just a once in a lifetime opportunity. You could talk about that if you want to, but like what always kept me at a job was the coworkers. It wasn't so much the boss or the commute. Obviously the pay is the biggest factor. But if I'm working with cool people, that's what keeps me around. And it's all niche to say, like, this is our team and this is, like, we're a family. It's like, sure, at some degree you are a team, but, like, you got to have that love, and you start at a place and it's just way better 2 years ago. And then you're looking at now, you're like, I don't even like these people, or these people are younger or something like that. That's when I start driving around with 10 resumes in my car. And I don't really have loyalty kind of obviously you love some brands and you love some companies that you work for and some bosses, but like I always have 10 resumes in my car. If I like going to a place and I like it, I'll close out and go back in and I'll close out so I don't get drunk and act like an idiot and give them a resume and just onward and upward. I think for the most part everybody kind of goes forward in life, even if you do get fired or laid off or change. I think most jobs just keep getting better for the most part for people in general.
Sure. And I will say this, I feel like the hardest part about leaving is, there's the personal pride portion. I was the original brewer at Cartridge. So many of those beers, they're my creation and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, more than that though, and this is very, very genuine. Something that's fantastic. If some of you out there have seen our Brew Day videos, you've seen Josh
Wow.
in our videos, and Josh is actually they're bumping him up to head brewer, which is awesome. He's
Well
a super
deserved.
talented kid, smart as hell, and
Wow.
I'm just really excited for him. But I mean, leaving the people there is honestly the hardest part, because if you do watch those brew day videos, sometimes I don't know how it comes off, man, but we have a blast together. We really enjoy each other, and just good people,
Good. Yeah.
really good people. So that's kind of that bittersweet thing.
Yeah.
But it does create opportunities for other people to spread their wings a little bit. So it's all part of it.
No, and I hear you. And people say, you've had bosses where you've liked, you've had bosses where you've disliked, but at the end of the day, like, you don't see your boss as much as your coworkers, the people that are on the floor with you. So these are the people I really need to worry about, like keeping the love with. So
Yeah.
I hear you. Shout out to the guy. It's always good to hear when somebody grows within a company. They promote from within, then bring in somebody from the outside in. I think that's a scarier move unless someone's really vouched for, someone's really on the same page. But I think that could be a very dangerous move. They kind of want to come in, do their own thing. A lot of times, bar rescue it, for lack of a better term, fire
Sure.
everybody and start over with their people. And that's what happens for, a lot of times when you hear Maui got bought out, or Modern Times got bought out by Maui, or Ballast Point got bought out by this. It's like little by little they're going to bring in their own people and force other people out that
Yeah.
aren't caught up with this new boss's or this new committee's vision. So sounds like it's a good move, man. Sounds like it's a good move for you, bro.
Yeah, we're excited about it, and I do think that like I told those guys when I was sitting down with them, and I mean, and I probably told you too. I would just be quiet about something rather than saying it. But in all honesty, I really have a lot of respect for the beer they're making over there,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, man, new stuff, and kind of the other interesting thing is. I'm going to have to essentially train through everything in the brewery, because I have to understand how to do everything.
You
But
are the new, you are the Bob. You are the new guy coming in, like you got to be
yeah,
in there.
sure.
You got to figure out this
Sure.
system and be ready, when they're brewing, the terminology of all, whatever there is different from
Sure.
the last digs.
I'm gonna
But,
have to switch to metric. They run metric. I've never run metric before in my life. I'm gonna have like a
you're
somebody's gonna
going,
have to let me know if there's like a slide rule or something that I can be carrying in my pocket like a nerd.
that'd be funny as shit, man, if they were actually going like back in time or something, just killing it, but using like extract or I don't know, hop oil or non-alcoholic stuff. The Mormons are taking over, man. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I'm stoked for you. That's rad. So what's the new title? Director of Operations?
Director of Brewing Operations.
And
Yeah.
that means you're hands on with every batch, or that means you're kind of somebody else has that torch.
Sure, and so there is a team of brewers. I believe they have between 6 and 8 people on the floor back there. Anything between packaging, logistics, warehouse, brewery, cellar, stuff like that. And so probably once I get settled in, I'm probably going to be about 15, maybe 20 hours a week on the floor, and
Okay.
then the other portion of that time is going to be in people management, which is something I'm really excited about, and I do think that it sounds like there's going to be some opportunity because they're opening a second location. They're doing what a lot of places are doing, which I think is really smart. They have the production brewery first, and now they are building a new tap room in a place called Westchester. So it's just another place that they can be selling beer at full margin. You know
Ohio.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
the 30 barrel
Yep.
system is a weird one. It's not a weird one to me, but there's only a couple breweries I've been to that have a 30 barrel system, and one was from your favorite beer you've ever had. I believe that was Austin Beer Works out there in
Yeah.
Texas.
Yep.
They had a 30 barrel
Yep.
system. High Wire in Asheville, Big Top. Their location
Yep.
is called Big Top. They have a 30 barrel system, and it's a weird move. It's not a weird move, but obviously that's like is not as big as you can go, but one of the biggest production outposts you can do unless you can actually build a bigger pretty much everything that's already existing, or what do? You move a couple 100 miles away and just start another production facility.
Yeah, and I think probably what they're built to do is
because
those fermenters are built to go up. You know what I mean? Swapping out fermenters that you have, and then just put in fermenters that you can put multiple more turns into.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they do have a sizable distro footprint. I know right now they have their hazy that's out on the market. It's called You Betcha. They have that out.
Treehouse.
A little Midwest call out there. Real nice beer. Voss, which is the Kolsch that medaled at CBC. And I know they do some work on the lager front, and of course they do some some fun local, some fun little things, some barrel things, stuff like that. So
no bitter stuff. It's all generally on the lighter side. Are they doing the double hazy pastry IPAs, or is it not?
Yeah, they'll knock some stuff around like that too.
They'll get silly. They'll diversify that menu. Yeah,
for sure.
Well, that's rad, man. Congratulations on that. And no reason for me not to get up there, but we're only about 4 hours away from each other drive time.
Yeah, man, you got to swing up. We can show you some places, man.
I'd love to.
There's a lot of cool stuff up here.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, he's in the same house, or he's on the same property. He's just got some Swiss Family Robinson hideout going up there, so it's all good. And for those who are unaware, this is Adam from Adam Makes Beer. He's got a killer YouTube channel. The link is in the description of this video. I'm checking out your website right now. He's going to be the new and the next director of operations at Sonder Brewery, and I'll put this link in the description of this video if you guys want to go check it out. If you're in the area, you guys want to put this on your radars. What up, Chris Radiation? I'm loving the love, man. I see all the Dookies in here. Blackwood Brews, Brewing Badge, Chris Radiation, Ronnie B, Ron Barnes, excuse me. Non-alcoholic beer, still has carbonation in it, still makes you burp.
Yes, it does.
You believe that. But one thing I've noticed about non-alcoholic beers, they'll call it West Coast IPAs and stuff, but they don't put the hops on there. So I think they're cutting a lot of corners on the cheaper contracts to get, which makes sense. How much money do you want to?
Sure.
So this beer will say West Coast IPA instead of hops. It says hoppy, citrus, and piney, which is cool. That's on alcoholic beers too.
Well, and when you get into that stuff too, I don't know if you remember when session IPA first started becoming a thing, dude. There was a lot of those that were just bitter hop water, some really lean little beers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there really wasn't much balance to them. And I think it took a little while for that little hoppy session beer to kind of get its legs under it a little bit before some good versions of it started hitting the shelves.
That's a good word too, because I don't see session that much anymore. Like we say sessionable pretty much the same way people say lower gravity, lower octane, but I don't see the word session on too much labels anymore. I think it's kind of a weird word that might need a lot of explanation. People see it and they're like, well, what is that? A lot of people still might not know it's lower in content, in alcohol content.
Come here. Yeah, and sometimes
maybe I'm wrong.
You can kind of see easy drinking. You know what I mean? Some of those marketing terms that people put in, crushable.
Crushable.
You know what I mean?
That's the new word. Over sessionable. Crushable. Yeah. It makes sense to the naked eye. I think a lot more. You think of Pilsner. You think of lawnmower beer, NASCAR beer. Get over here. Yeah. Shanakella, what's up, dog? Bro, just making it cold up here.
I don't know about by you guys, but more and more places are hitting the shelves down here with, just straight up light lager, craft places in 12 packs and stuff like that. There's multiple places down here. Some of the bigger production houses are really trying to get aggressive in that next tier down of pricing even.
Okay.
So because that's really the big impediment. If you're trying to tap into that part of the market, but your 6-pack is 40% more than Bud Miller Coors, you're gonna have a hard time.
Sure.
Yeah. And so people are trying to attack that kind of next tier down bracket and see if they can do it. I know Braxton is doing it, which is pretty big down here. I think maybe Mad Tree. I think maybe
this is a different language.
A few others.
This is just a different. How does it go? Local, regional. How does it go from growing? You go from local to how would it go distribution wise? Start local.
I mean, basically, you would go local, and then kind of you go statewide, and then you start going regional,
and then you go
what I mean? Yeah,
domestic,
national,
and then go global.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's a different thing. I mean, you're in the Midwest, I'm in the South. You know, the brands that you're talking about, I don't get those, but the brands down here that you see everywhere, like Terrapin. There's another one I'm brain farting on right now. There's
Terrapin, they're pretty OG. I remember back in the day, back when I was first getting into it.
I think that's Georgia.
They've been doing it for a while. Yeah.
Terrapin and not Cutwater, something. But then, on the West Coast, it's all like the Sierra Nevadas, the Lagunitas. Sure. Maybe not so much Stone anymore. What's the San Diego brand that would probably be in that conversation? Maybe Carl Strauss. You're going to see probably their beer, maybe up in Pacific Northwest and Arizona, New Mexico, and stuff like that. But
what's your take on those canned cocktails that kind of hit the shelf for a while? I don't know if they're falling off a little bit now. What's your take on those?
Well, I think that before Stone, because I'm sorry, Ballast Point. The whole thing with Ballast Point was that when they sold out the Constellation for $1 billion, the guy had to put it in writing that he would never open up a brewery ever again. I think that was part of them overpaying. It was like, hey, you can never pretty much compete with us or have this recipe and do it and take your whatever social media clout and this and that. So I think that the club soda thing in a can was pretty much like the alcoholic drink. You'd go into liquor stores and you'd see those things, and it was like a black can with like a one stripe on it. And it was just something you would never see at a party. You never saw your parents drink it. You never saw it at a nice restaurant or a bar. It was a really quick fix for an alcoholic to get drunk and spend $5 at a liquor store. Sure. But I think when when Ballast Point, so they sold out and he couldn't make beer, and he was like, yo, well, screw this. They never said I can't make this other thing. So they started, I believe it's called Cutwater. And if you look at the branding, it's the same font family as Ballast Point. Like if you look at it, and this guy still obviously is a brilliant guy. So he gave credibility to these cocktails, and you see them all over. I'm sorry. You see them all over the West Coast. I don't see him too much out here. Excuse me, guys. But I think one of his biggest things that he didn't look back on is if he would have put it in the can that we always talk about, the hard seltzer can, the Red Bull can, I think it would have been way more desirable. There's something about that can that people just flock to. I have to buy this. Sure. So I think that was also kind of the time when Cutwater was killing it. He had so much more competition with the hard seltzer things. That's when everybody was doing the Trulies and the High Noons and this and that now. So I think it's obviously way more desirable than it used to be. But that's a good question. That would be a good question. Like anybody who's at the grocery store next, like, can you see Cutwater, which is,
I see Cutwater by me.
You do?
I see Cutwater by me. Yeah.
So they're doing good.
Some of them, dude. Some of them are like hella strong. Dude, there's one that's like 12%.
There's one that's like 14%. You'll be at a party and you'll crack one. It's like 5%, 6%. You crack another one. You're like, whoa. And you look at it, it's like 14%. It's like 14%, 12 ounces. That's like a bottle of wine, bro.
One of my favorite things about moving down here from Michigan, we got a house that's on 8 acres, and I have a fire pit in the backyard that's big enough that you can just put whole pallets in. Okay, it's just this ridiculous bonfire pit, and my wife and I will go out there and have a fire and tell the kids they're not allowed to leave the house. And so we'll go in the back. We can't even see the house from there. It's beautiful, and we'll have some drinks or whatever. But I bought the one that's like 14%. I forget which one it is.
Might be the margarita.
Like the mule or
Might be the margarita. Green.
Dude, we brought that thing out, and she had one can. I mean, she's the little thing.
Fell asleep in the fire.
One can. She
fell asleep inside the bonfire. Yeah.
She goes, oh, I don't know, honey. I feel like this is strong.
Slept like a baby.
Back off, war child. Seriously.
No, I had the same story with an ex-girlfriend. She wasn't really a drinker, and she drank one of those and passed out on the lawn. It was awesome.
Get over here.
Yeah. Hey, we got some people in here tonight, man. What's up, Tombstone Todd? Stephen Plass, man. My barrage is in here. Jorge, what's up, dog?
Back off, war child.
Stephen
Seriously.
Plass, two of my favorite YouTubers in here, man. Much love. I'm probably not going to be putting out content for a little bit. I'm hosting this week, and then we're going to do a sour. My first time doing a sour on the Climber system, and then I'm going to do a review video on just kind of like what people are talking about home brewing systems, what to buy in 2023. Because I did an Anvil video, and they gave me some money for that. So and I love the Anvil Foundry, but I want to do more of kind of like an organic video of how to get into brewing and what to buy in 2023. And I've got some stuff written down, and it's just a different world. I think every 3 to 5 years, everything just kind of changes. It's on the homebrew scale. I know nothing about commercial brewing except for the quantities and the styles of the fermenters, the vertical versus horizontal and stuff like that.
Sure.
Northwest Small Batch Brewing, man. We got That's My Johnson in the house. But a lot of people are Pacific Northwest. He's saying the Cutwater's big up there. So, that dude just killed it harder than anybody. They paid you more money not to make beer ever again, and he put cocktails in a can and gave it credibility. And now he's probably in all 50 states.
Get over here. What do you think about High Noon?
I love High Noon. I think that's the one. I mean, I've never had High Noon. I think they all kind of taste the same, but I see it around, and I love that they just put vodka on it. That's what I love about it. It's just called vodka and fresh juice or whatever. And the loophole is that they use
seltzer. Yeah.
I don't think they use the word seltzer, but I see High Noon everywhere.
Yeah, they may not. Yeah.
And I was always kind of talking shit. I was always saying like there can't be another one. I thought it was always going to be Truly and Bud Light Lime or the Bud Light one, Topo Chico. What was the big one? And then White Claw.
White Claw.
White Claw. White Girl. And then
White Girl was pretty apropos as well.
Yeah, that'll be a drink soon, if not already. What up, Patrick Sandy? But the High Noon is popular, and I think they're the first ones just to slap vodka on that Red Bull can, and it's kind of cool to know what's actually inside of it. Like, hey, it's vodka,
Dude. But at the same time, man, like so. I'll do High Noon once in a while, seriously. And I think they're better than White Claw and the other seltzers that I've had.
That would be a good
I feel like,
YouTube video. That'd be a good or any hangout. Anybody who's like, oh, I love this. This is the best.
Dude, their passion fruit one is super passable. It's gonna be because for me, and even those canned cocktails, because a lot of times, they're almost always leaning exclusively on extract. There's a level
for sure.
with even with good extract. There's sometimes where those things become real like perfumey to me.
And
I don't know if that's like it, but it's like I don't know, like it hangs like weird like between your olfactory and everything like that, and
Dude,
it kind of builds up.
bro.
But those old noons, I can hit those. Those are pretty tasty.
Dude, the worst. I know exactly what you're talking about when you feel like you're swallowing cologne or perfume, and the worst is when it's not even a hard seltzer. It's beer. And that happened to me at a brewery, and I've got nothing to gain or lose by throwing this brewery under the bus, but it was Tony Hawk's Brewery in San Diego called
Tony Hawk has a brewery?
Of course. Oh yeah. Well, they tried to do the thing that God, what was that big brewery? Help me out. In LA that sold out. They were the first guys. It's the same guy that started Ashland. Ashland was another huge hard seltzer. Same owner of that. Any which way, it was the same model of like, hey, let's get 10 of the action sports guys together. Everyone's got 1 million subscribers on Instagram. Well, here's equity or some of the business or X amount of money. Just promote the shit out of it. And Black Plague is the name of Tony Hawk's Brewery, but the brewery that did it like 5-10 years before that was called man, oh man, this is gonna drive me crazy. Someone help me out with this.
I don't know.
They were so big. Someone's got to know this one. They were in San Diego, then they got bought out by an LA company. It was a huge brewery. It was like not as big as Ballast Point. Oh my God. Ashland Hard Seltzer. Everyone's gonna know this brewery once I say it. This is driving me crazy. Ashland Hard Seltzer. So it's kind of the same thing. This guy sold his brewery off, and now he does Ashland Hard Seltzer. So it's kind of like what we were talking about with the same owners of Ballast Point owners. Yeah, this guy Josh, this guy rips. Saint Archer, you know Saint Archer.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so he was like, I've always said timing is everything. Everything,
Yep.
man. From getting the job to asking a girl out to starting a brewery, everything. And this dude did what nobody was doing before Tony Hawk and Nigel Houston and all these other guys now. Yeah, St. Archer. And I went to a concert one time. I saw like Duran Duran or something like 10 years ago. It was probably 10 years ago. And they just had no other, they had cocktails and wine and stuff like that. But all of the beer was just St. Archer. And I was like, whoa, this is a big brand. This got big fast at the right time. These guys had a lot of money, a lot of influence, probably like 2013, 2014, when craft beer was still like the wild, wild west. And everybody thought, it was a gold rush. And we get into it now, we're all going to, cash in like Uncle Scrooge. These guys did. These guys did. Yeah.
I like the Uncle Scrooge visual. I still remember him diving.
Yeah. Did you see when
into the piles of gold?
Yeah. Did you see the Family Guy, Peter Griffin, make fun of it? He jumps in there
didn't see that, no.
and just breaks his leg. He doesn't. There's no water or splash or nothing. He just slaps his head out and all of his limbs go upside down. What up, Hoovenall? What's up, man? Hey, we got 65 people here right now. I got the boys coming in tomorrow, but I'm going to get a drink over here really quick. This is Adam from Adam Makes Beer. You mind holding it down, Adam? You do this. Man. You do this. He's got his channel. He's good by himself. We'll be back in an hour.
Hey guys, so a couple of things I have going on. If you don't know, a lot of the content I've been posting lately is between like the Q&A stuff that I've been doing, and then also I've been doing a monthly brewer interview. This month actually, well, it's going to be running into the beginning of next month. I believe it's September 1st. I'm going to be talking to Cole Hackbarth, the director of brewing ops over at Rheingeist here in Cincinnati. You're going to want to check that out. Cole's an interesting guy, and he can talk about things on a level that most people in the industry can't, because he was one of the key pieces that helped take Rheingeist from, a citywide to a regional brewery. He's a smart dude, and I'm looking forward to talking with him. But yeah, most of my content is between those two things right now, but I did just drop a video today that is more of like an in-house brewery tutorial. Are those Jello shots? Are those Jello shots?
Yeah, we just made a YouTube short out of them. Yes, they're definitely Jello shots.
But yeah, so I do have some more like hands-on brewery stuff coming up, though. Just today, I dropped a video on how I clean my heat exchanger after a brew day. And it's like a 20-minute video, so it's like a real deep dive kind of thing. So I will have some of that stuff coming up. I'm going to have another full brew day coming up. We just did a beer called Usual Haunt, which we're going to be releasing in 12-ounce cans, which is a pumpkin latte stout for pumpkin beer season, baby. So yeah, we're gonna have that coming out in cans, and so I'm gonna be dropping that in a multi-part series, that brew day that will finish up with the finished pretty little can and tasting and full recipe on that. So that's some of the stuff I have going on as far as the channel goes, and then with the Sonder stuff, with my transition to Sonder, man, there's gonna be a lot of new stuff for me to learn. So I'll definitely be passing along to you guys. But as always, just drop me questions on stuff like that. You can drop it in any comment on any video. Really, hit me up on Instagram. Adam Makes Beer on Instagram. And,
link in bio. Easy as
link in
ABCs, NBCs.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Jello shots, man. It's like the oyster shooter for alcoholics, man. Same vibe.
Look, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
you're really right, man.
Kind of.
Are you a Mitch Hedberg guy?
No, I actually can't stand Mitch Hedberg. And I know everyone's supposed to love Mitch Hedberg because he's the king of one-liners, and everyone loves
the flip side.
Everyone loves everyone who's deceased because
Sure.
it's like the ultimate likable thing, like just die before you're 30, and everyone like you're not.
Well, dude,
you don't
I'll
live
tell you
long
what.
enough for everyone to hate, like find your dirt on you, or you to get drunk and chew out a cop and then end up on TMZ.
I will say this though, because I do love Mitch Hedberg and I do love Amy Winehouse. And I'll say when I watch those two people perform, when you watch them like slowly go downhill, it makes me feel a little bit sad when you watch them like, kind of tanking out. It's never a good thing.
Yeah, especially Amy Winehouse, because I loved Amy Winehouse. I thought that was kind of like
yeah.
a once in a lifetime thing, and that was kind of at the time where you could watch YouTube videos, live YouTube videos, like just type it in and you could watch her at Carnegie Hall or whatever, the place with the chandelier there, and she's just on stage, just so effed up, and you're just like,
oh, she was the skin and bones, man. But
dude, 90 pounds on a rainy day, bro.
Yeah. And I remember I didn't even see her stuff because I remember hearing in the news that she passed or whatever, and it was years afterwards. I was just bored, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna find out what this, because I never heard her music before, and I pulled up a song, and I'm like, dude, this is like amazing Motown.
Yeah.
What's happening here? And then I see that she's this tiny little thing. It's like, dude, that voice is much bigger, man.
Yeah,
she was wild. I absolutely love her stuff.
She's got a good song, Monkey Man. It's do you like ska? Have you ever heard of the band The Specials?
Yeah.
She does a good cover on that. But yeah, I mean, we could talk about Amy Winehouse anytime, or right now or whatever. But I was a big fan of hers. But no, why did we start talking about Mitch Hedberg and Amy Winehouse though?
I don't know.
The Jello,
that was me.
The oyster Jello shot, the oyster.
Yeah.
Okay,
the
something
little,
like that.
It was the little one-liner. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to write a bunch of dumb jokes lately, like getting PSD from doing nothing or something. Like, how can you like get PSD? I don't know, man. I'm just doing a little pen to paper these days. But I'm probably not gonna have a video out for a couple weeks. But I'm not going anywhere in September, and no one's coming in, so I should be grinding on some YouTube videos from there. And things are going really good with YouTube. Things are going really good with my system. I really like the Climber system. I like it a lot, and I like how big shout out to Elementary in here, Brian out there. Sometimes I think it's better to not have the all-in-one system. I mean, everybody wants the all-in-one system, but I read a lot of comments like sometimes it might be better to have your electric thing a few feet away from this boiling metal and boiling, this metal that's hotter than shit, and this wart that's over 200 degrees. Maybe not having, electricity in your LCD screen 6 inches next to it is the best course of action. And I understand like the all-in-one system, you want it compact and small and this and that. But I think as far as longevity goes, I think it's going to go to Clawhammer. And
yeah, so I don't know that system. So I just had some boxes show up at the brewery. I got the and I think it's an Anvil system in.
Is it the 18 gallon or the 10.5?
No, it's a small guy. It looks like it's for like 5-gallon batches, maybe.
Okay.
Or maybe less, but
it's 5 gallons total, so it means you're doing like 3-gallon batches.
Yeah, and then there's a little small fermenter with. I haven't popped into it yet, but I'm gonna run some small batches with that with Josh. I think we're probably gonna do some videos with that thing.
Cool, man.
But yeah, it's the kind of thing that looks like the coffee maker in the church basement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I hope the sorry.
I will tell you this, the worst experience, and this actually reminded me when I was talking about like that church basement coffee maker.
Mm-hmm.
I worked at a place one time where my boss told me that he wanted to take our coconut porter and serve it at a cold weather beer festival, and he said, well, let's just put the coconut porter in this thing and like let it percolate, and then we'll serve it hot like coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those things because he was my boss. I'm like, well, okay, well, let's try it and see. It didn't taste good. And when I pulled the lid off of it, because I mean that stuff gets over 170, I took a hit of straight alcohol that was filling up the headspace of that coffee maker.
Blind you for 10 seconds?
I'm like, dude, I don't know if I can feel my face.
Breaking Bad shit. First one was a little bit smoother. The last one was like straight vodka. Sorry. No, you're gonna have fun with this Anvil system. I think you're gonna enjoy it a lot. And this is their third version of
Is
this.
it like a brew in the bag system? Is that kind of what the concept is with
Yeah,
it?
they're all brew in a bag. You know, it's got
Okay.
the grain basket that's metal. It's the mesh bag, and I didn't know
Okay.
they were having so much problems with their grain basket, but I like the way that it sits on it. Much better now. You know, back in the day, or the one that I had, they had this ring that you would have to rest it on, and you pull your basket up, and it's heavy, and you're trying to get it under there, and I'd always burn myself. And it's kind of, you know, geared pretty much, you know, unwritten, two guys should be working on this. So they got rid of that, and they made some tweaks. Still the same pump. The LCD system, the LCD screen, it's a little bit more bulletproof or waterproof, but the price is the same. So the system got better, and they kept the price around $500. I mean, it's $400, but you have to get the recirculation pump with it. And I don't know what your take is with the homebrewing as far as sparge or full volume mash, but I'm just doing full volume mash from here on out, and just let it recirculate forever, unless you're doing, you know, dark grains and you're worried about you know, those getting too acidic down the road. But that's a whole different thing. That's a whole different conversation. Yeah. But
So you like that claw hammer rig though?
I like the claw hammer. Here's the thing about me, and there's probably a few other people in here that have had 3 or 4 electric systems. Because if you just have one and you like it, that's fine, because you have no other point of reference.
Mm-hmm.
You're just, I figured this thing out. I'm making good beer. I'm going to like it. It's, you know, worst case scenario, it's $1,000, or the Grainfather's $1,000 or whatever. But when you play around with 3 or 4 of them, you're like, okay, this is, the recirculation on this is kind of funky, or this has got, you know, stuck mash, or this is kind of weird, or this is kind of weird to clean, or how do I clean this part, or this and that. I think that the claw hammer system, and I hope I'm not saying this because I'm friends with Kyle and I like these guys a lot, and it's not a biased thing I'm saying, but I think it is the best system. But I also think that I'm pretty much giving the video away. You know, if you want to start brewing, Pruce, I don't know if he's in here right now, Pruce, he commented, he was like, the name of the game is to get people brewing in 2023, and like, what do you do to keep them around? You know, so I would say just go straight to all grain. Don't even mess with extract. But if you are going to go with extract, go with the Northern Brewer thing. Don't go with Mr. Beer. I've said that in a bunch of videos. It's $100. It's a killer setup. I still have some things, you know, some bottle clamps that I still use from that, you know, that starter kit. I think it's $100. If you do want to brew and go to all grain, I'd recommend the Brew Show's approach. Just do the propane thing. That's going to be the most affordable way. You might have a burner. You could do it on your oven or this and that, and all you need is the bag and pretty much, you know, what, a 7-gallon pot or a 10-gallon pot, whatever. You start making good beer. There's 2 things you can kind of play around with. There's the $500 systems like the Anvil, 10.5. The Mash and Boil, the Firmzilla, or maybe I'm saying it wrong, but they're kind of floating around $400 or $500. And then for $1,000, you're looking at the Claw Hammer and the Grainfathers. So pretty much the Grainfather and the Anvil Foundry are kind of the same thing. One of them, the pump is in, one of them, the pump is out. They do the same thing. Why spend twice as much on something that's damn near the same? I mean, it just kind of comes down to that.
Sure.
I think Grainfather is the most popular. I think they're probably making the most money. I don't know if that's like an Australia thing or a New Zealand thing or a Western Europe thing. But the one thing I like about the Clawhammer system is at the end of the day, when it's Armageddon and the 4 horsemen come into town and nothing works, all of our computers and phones are busted, the Clawhammer kettle is still going to be around forever. You know, it's got the tri-clamp fitting, it's got the spigot, it's got everything set up to put a thermometer, you know, to wedge a thermometer in there. Most homebrew electric systems, they're not going to last any more than like 5 years. You'd be lucky as hell if you get 5 years out of any system. So that's what I like about the Clawhammer thing, is that like at the end of the day, just this thing still is always going to work on propane. And if you want to ever go back to electric, you can always just buy stuff. And that's one thing that I want to stress with electric systems is like when things go wrong, like you blow a fuse or your heating element went out, like don't freak out and think it's trash. Like everything can be fixed. Unless it's real bad, there's like a leak from the Grainfather that's going into everything. I don't know how to fix welded metal to welded metal without welding, you know, then you've got a serious problem. But as far as fuses and stuff and heating elements and like these electric boxes and stuff, they're all on Amazon. Everything's on Amazon, you know, and you.
Sure.
So. I think it's a good system. I love the Climber system. I've brewed with it, I think, 4 ways properly now. I've never brewed with it properly because I've never used their plate chiller. But Kyle came over last week and we set up a hose in my sink and we were just chilled out. We had a great day. I had a great day. He was supposed to get his car worked on and he ended up getting the wrong part. Now he's got to come back in 10 days and hang out with me again. But it's cool. And yeah, and one thing I think that goes a long way with Clawhammer is I get a lot of comments about Emmets. Whenever I talk about Clawhammer, they're like, dude, I had a problem with my system. Because you're going to have problems. You're going to have problems with your anvil. You're going to have problems with your grandfather, your mash and boil. They're like, dude, Emmett was on it. He sent me the part the next day. Boom. The customer service is like as big as the product as far as peace of mind goes. You know, these guys are really looking out. They're sending it to me. They're going to make it right. Some of these companies, it's like they're going to send your ass to China or there's no number at all. You know, it's an email or this and that. So, yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. I put up a poll. I got to go back to that too. I want to know what people are brewing on. But I think at the end of the day, all these systems are really good except for one. There's one system out there that I would not buy. And for whatever reason, they have accounts with Home Depot and Bed Bath & Beyond, and they show up all over my Google sponsored feed and stuff like that. And the Brew Show was doing a video with them. These guys hit me up all the time. Vevor, Vevor. Do you know that one?
Okay. I don't know them. No.
I have no clue how Home Depot sells their shit, but that would give you peace of mind, right? You're like, oh, all-in-one brew kit. Well, the grandfather's 1,000. This one's only 300. Home Depot sells it. It's vouched for. I've heard nothing but bad things. Sure. Nothing but bad things.
Sure.
So, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I got to play around with this video a little bit. Tom Alvarado's got a Vevor for life tattoo on his lower back. I knew it, man, this whole time.
Look, I'm going to be honest. I don't really like beer that much.
Post that on your Instagram and your MySpace. Emmett is unbelievable. Shout out to Brewing Bad, man. What up, Cityscape? That's the thing about the Climber. I'd have to go 240. I mean, you can kind of say that about everyone except for the Anvil because they're the first one to have the 240 and the 120 pretty much set up. That just comes with an adapter and you hit a switch on the back. So that's really cool.
Sure.
Hey, Bruce, right there, man. We were just talking about you. I love the conversation about systems. I love my Brewzilla. I brewed on a Brewzilla once, and it was cool. Cheers, Sparger Brewing. Anybody got any questions for Adam? Let us know what you're drinking. I'm drinking or what you're brewing, too. And Adam just reminded me that it is almost Halloween. It is almost pumpkin beer season. Time flies, man.
Where do you come down on those beers? Do you like pumpkin beer?
I think they're good if they're done right, because you could tell that everyone's just putting them out so fast that they just taste like straight cinnamon extract. You could just tell that this just was the first time they did it and they were just trying to be way too quick to market.
Sure.
But that's a good point. Is there any beer that's consistently had a good pumpkin ale over the years?
Gosh, I'm trying to think. Pumpkin ale's not my wheelhouse, man.
But it's a cool...
What I would always like to do is, like, what I've done in the past is, like, during fall, rather than doing pumpkin, I've done, like, chai spice stuff before.
Okay.
And an amber to darker beer.
Okay.
Just because it's in the neighborhood, but it's not pumpkin. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's something a little bit different.
Right.
But I haven't run a whole lot of pumpkin beers. Back at the first place I brewed at, I think one time we threw some pumpkin puree in the mash tun because I had to. But yeah, I haven't made a bunch of them. When I do it now, it's pumpkin spice. I mean, you're just calling it what it is. You know what I mean? You're using pumpkin spice in it, and yeah. So
it's got to be a weird beer to make, or not a weird beer to. It's obviously a weird beer to make, but it's got to be a weird beer to sell too. Because what if you make too much and it sucks?
Sure.
No one gives a shit about it the day after Halloween. No one gives a shit about it the day after your anniversary. You know.
Yeah,
you just got
so
these
that's
pallets
why
of shit beer.
You try to hit early enough with
Pumpkin
it, right?
shit,
Because
yeah.
you can get away with that basically up until Thanksgiving, and then,
True.
You know, once,
okay.
Once Thanksgiving is done, though, you're kind of toast.
You're pretty much on
You
the
know what I
same
mean?
parallel line with pumpkin pie sales. When they're buying pumpkin
Sure.
pie, they're buying pumpkin beer. Outside of pumpkin pie, you're fucked. Don't do that
Yep.
shit in the spring. Get over here. But that would be a good beer to do. I mean, the thing about that is
Now,
like
Stephen Plass hit it. Southern Tier,
Southern Tier?
Imperial Pumpkin. That's one of the big ones out there. Absolutely. Chris Ratty as well. Yeah.
where do I get that?
I think Southern Tier is pretty well distributed.
Southern Tier is the name of the brand.
Yeah, it's the name of the brewery. They
Name of the
might be
brewery?
East Coast.
Good
As
looking
crazy
out.
as that sounds,
Stephen
but Southern
Plass, much
Tier.
love, dog. Southern Tier, pumpkin beer. I feel like there was a lot of them back in the day, and because the people that were putting them out fast were more often than not they were in bombers. People were selling them in the 22s, but there was a couple ones I think that were pretty damn successful that they were actually putting in 6-packs. They were actually putting in 6-pack bottles, and
Yeah.
I remember I had one that was really good one time, and it tasted like the perfect amount of nutmeg and vanilla, and I guess pumpkin, and what else would be in there? Cinnamon, and then you have some of them that just taste like straight cinnamon, and they're not even carbonated. Like you guys just got this out the day of. You spent way too much time on the label trying to make this cool Ichabod Crane, killer pumpkin from Mars, and the beer just sucks.
Actually, I think when you said Ichabod, that's the name of the pumpkin beer for
Sleepy Hollow.
New Holland up in Michigan.
Oh, okay, cool.
New Holland has one called that. Yeah, they always do a solid job with their stuff.
That was like the one book I read growing up. It was only like 80 pages, so I was able to finally read a book. Sleepy Hollow, Ichabod Crane. A lot of people make pumpkin ales with butternut squashes because pumpkins aren't ready in time for pumpkin ale season. Shout out to Bruce. Get over here. Did you guys
big brain.
try the new Glarus quad? It was awesome. Nomad 004. I have not. Never even heard of it. Are you a quad guy? You love Belgians, right?
Yeah, I do. Especially I especially tend to go for the doubles, the dark strongs. I like the darker Belgian beers.
The
I like
Dubels.
those kind of plummy, dark cherry. Those sort of flavors. I was just talking with a buddy of mine. I did a live stream with my buddy Rock Van Meter. He's brewmaster at Redwood Brewing. It's a fun talk. He's really won just about everything you can win as far as medals goes, and he's done a lot of winning with Belgian beers. And we were talking through that, and I was telling him about when I went to West Vlettern, and I had the 8 and the 12, and that's kind of like, the 12 is the best beer in the world. That's what everybody was saying 10 years ago. And I had their 8 as well, which is basically a smaller, I don't know whether it's a double, but, a smaller dark strong. And when we drank them fresh, the 8 was almost better than the 12, but it was really just an age thing. Once the 12 got a couple more months on it, I think they were just both so fresh. One's like 8%, one's 10 or 11, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Just got a little bit more time to age out. But yeah, I do like those beers. I think they're really food friendly. They're soft, round, super easy drinking, super approachable.
You would have a good collab with Apartment Steve. He loves that. He loves that stuff, and you guys have both been to Belgium. You've actually got a pretty epic Belgium story. But Steve just got back from there a year ago. But he loves that stuff. And when I met him in Asheville, he had brought some of the beers over. I don't know how he did that I think he shipped them. I don't think it's a ballsy move bringing them in your luggage. But I remember he had some good Belgian beers. Belgian's it's just not my thing. But I could, if it were my thing, and you were going after these notes and these flavors, it would have been A+.
Yeah,
It would have been spot on. But
that's some of what I got back here. These are a couple bottles that I brought back. There's some Cantillon. I don't know if you can see it.
I can see it. I've just never heard of it.
Yeah, Cantillon is kind of the granddaddy goose, lambic producer.
Okay.
In Brussels. Yeah, one of the big ones. Yeah.
What's the price tag on that? What is that? Like a 600 milliliter?
Oh damn.
Milliliter?
Yeah,
milliliter?
those are big boys. Those are like 750s. And I'm trying to remember because we bought that over there and brought it back, and that was a decade ago. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But
probably
they're
double now.
they're not cheap. They're not cheap when they get over here.
Right.
They're not cheap when they get over here for sure.
All of it, man. Paying for shipping, getting it over here, the bubble wrap, this and that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
108 Hales hooked me up with a Locale Degar triple, which I'm super appreciative for. Big shout out to 108 Hales, man. If he's still in here, man. He was in here earlier. Cheers to him.
Get over here!
Troy Homebrew, 262 tappers in the house. I have no clue what that means, man, but thanks for being here, Troy. Minnesota Fats. Agree with this. New Glares. Mothers is great too. Where do you think Belgian beers stand right now? Just more niche than ever?
Yeah, I'm not sure. And it's kind of one of those, and we were having the conversation before about RTDs and non-alcoholic beer. And I think you can kind of track it back to, when cider was starting to pop off. And I think cider has kind of leveled. I think it has its niche. I'm not saying that I don't think that there's room for growth in it. But and then we kind of end up moving into, well, there was hard soda for a little while. Do you remember the hard root beer? What was that called? The hard root beer that was flying all over the place.
I remember Mike's Hard Lemonade, the hard lemonade for sure.
There was Mike's Hard Lemonade, but there was a not, maybe it was like Not Your Father's root beer or something like that. But it was like a hard root beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and then the
like,
Smirnoff Ice, which is like pretty much just hard Squirt or hard Sprite or 7-Up, That was huge for a while.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see where the NA thing goes.
That was huge.
I do think it's going to probably like carve out a segment. But I mean, we've both been around it to where we
see stuff come and
see
go.
That. Yeah, we see stuff come and go for sure. So I mean, but speaking to Belgians, I mean, I don't see any reason why 5 years from now we might not be saying, oh hey, Belgians are starting to pop off again.
History repeats, man. I mean, there's one thing
that they have on their side, dude. ABV aside, but that's not even the main issue. But those beers are super approachable, and we've had the conversation before where we've kind of talked about like. New England IPA is really just satisfying a demand for approachable IPA. And that Belgian beer is super approachable. You can slap one of those beers down, one of those like a double, a quad, as that subdued bitterness, that malt forward, those rich desserty flavors. People can drink that stuff, man. And it's not like most people are going to be sitting down and trying to kill a 12-pack of something like that. But I think you can I think you can put a really approachable beer in front of somebody like that, and it can find an audience again.
I agree with that. I don't know if I had a Lost Abbey t-shirt. They were the big ones in San Diego. I feel like they were always kind of like taking on too much or getting bought out, or there was something always kind of going on with them. And Pizza Port, it was the same owner at one time, and this and that. But they were
was
big.
That Tommy Arthur?
It's a good question.
I think that might be Tommy Arthur.
We're talking like OG stuff, like 80s. No, maybe not that old, but like 90s San Diego stuff. We're talking. Remember like Green Flash?
Yeah, man.
Green Flash, and what was the one I just said? They had the Heart of California, one of my favorite cities of all time. If anybody's ever out there in North County, they had a speakeasy that came in there, and it was like this little nook in the wall, and it was like just the coolest little tap house. I don't know if it's there anymore, but they were big for a while, and I don't think they're moving forward these days. I think the Belgian thing is kind of I don't know, soaked up. I don't know. Just because I don't like it doesn't. I mean, like I still want these brands to be successful. Do you
not like? Is it like the phenolics that can come with Belgian beer? Is that something that you're kind of averse to?
I just feel like I'm eating bubblegum.
Okay.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I can do one or two, but there's sometimes where like I feel like I'm gonna throw up after 3 or 4 beers. It's got nothing to do with being drunk or full. It's just taste.
Yeah.
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 Lost Abby, though. What up, Ray Rodriguez? We got 75 people in here right now, man. That's awesome. We've been getting a lot of love on the stream lately. Adam, how you doing on time? You good?
I'm good, man. Yeah, I can go for a little while longer. Absolutely.
And you're at 9 o'clock. You're not 10 o'clock or 10:08?
No, I'm 10 o'clock.
Okay. We are on the same time zone. Sorry, I get confused.
Yep.
I know us out here, there's always kind of
Oh,
like
you're good.
1 hour. Jorge, party time. They're in the Nova Scotia time zone, so they're even 1 hour ahead. They're 11 o'clock. Mendocino Brewing Company was awesome. Yeah, speaking of history repeating, have you ever seen a brand, maybe a brand or a style kind of go down and then kind of pick back up again?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Like, I don't know. I heard for
Craft Pilsners? I mean, I know they've always been popular.
Pilsners, I mean, that stuff's rolling back now. You know what I mean? Pilsner and like American takes on Pilsner, I'm still calling Italian Pils American, but that's an American inspired concept. Italian Pils, you know what I mean? Dry hopping anything is basically an American inspired concept.
Yeah. No, I just I remember 10 years ago when everything was like yellow fizz is for wussies, and I think Stone put that in a lot of people's heads, and then it was just IPA 7%, and then it just got back to the 5% beers, and there was I just feel like 2018, every brewery in San Diego was like trying to put out a craft Pilsner. Everyone was trying to put out the lightest, most delicious beer ever.
Get over here! How big is All Day IPA by you guys? Do you see it anywhere?
All Day IPA, never heard of it.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Okay, so that's from Founders. So it must not be distributed there. Because that's really turned into one of their massive, massive beers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I know that was one, and that kind of spins off of the whole. I mean, because I think that claims to be a session IPA. It's one of those things that kind of gets into that area.
Five and a half.
When I left Michigan, I think they were getting to the point to where they were putting that thing in like 24 packs and stuff like that, man.
Damn.
They were really slamming the scale on it and dropping price on it and putting it in big containers. You know what I mean? As far as big packs.
Is Founders Dale's Pale Ale? Is that the same one? They've got kind of the.
No, that's different.
Who owns Dale's Pale Ale?
Yeah, who's Dale's Pale Ale? I can't
Oscar
remember.
Blues?
Oscar Blues, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Similar branding logo to me, but I know what you're talking about. But we got some love here, man. Stephen Plass always coming through. Much love, Stephen Plass, dog. Always here on the Hoppy Hour. 75 people in here. Everyone's showing love. This is the third stream in a week that's been really good. Sniper in the Tower. Stephen Plass is calling out Jaggers, Yeast and the Beast, Greg Swanson, Paul Stilo, Chains. It's Rec. What's up, man? How are you? And Jersey Joshua. What's up, dog? So when somebody buys memberships for people, it pulls out the Silent but Deadlies in here. So it's funny because someone could be in here thinking they're all like, just quietly eavesdropping, and then they get called out. And you see like ex-girlfriends in here, my dad, it could be funny as shit. And Micah Meek, man, Micah Meek Street. This is for this is my membership memo, NBC. We might do an NBC here in a little bit. Adam is a very responsible adult. He doesn't drink when he's on here. He drinks what, 1 or 2 beers a week? What's up, Portly? How are you, man? What's up, Brad?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe. The people that are most involved in the beer world that are making beer and pushing beer, I don't think they get drunk. I don't
know, man. It's just and for real, I just feel better when I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? So
I feel better not being on top of a big brand, so I can get drunk and have a good time being buzzed, and I don't have anything to lose.
Get over here! Hey, but Ron Barnes mentions, and something that we didn't talk about, check pills and side pull handles. Are you seeing side pull handles for lager down there yet?
That is, yes, I am. That might be the new trend. Yeah, because I've talked about this. I talked about is beer better in Europe? Is beer better in Prague? And I didn't know if it was the beer gas. I know those Lukr tap, Lukr, those Lukr taps are like $400 or $500. But
no joke.
Andy came on from Tanglefoot out there in Texas, and that's all he does. All he does is the light Czech Pilsners, And I think it's super rad. I don't know if all of his taps are the side pulls,
Sure.
but he demonstrated on one. And, aside from the Czech beers out there in Prague being 75% foam, I don't know how they get away with serving that shit. But you know what I'm saying? But the beer definitely tastes better out there. I don't know if it's better or different or creamier.
Well, dude, I tell you what, I will say, I think there's definitely a service difference with the side pulls. I think that has an impact for sure. But just not too long ago, and I actually have a series up on it, and I actually need to do the tasting on it. But I did a Hoppy Pills a couple months ago, and we actually won a medal for it recently. It's a beer that we were working on. This kind of concept we've been working on with Maggie back when she used to work with me. She's at Urban Artifact right now. But yeah, so that was the first beer that I ever spunded. And so when that beer got down to about like 1.5 Plato left, like 6 points left in fermentation, we sealed it up and let head pressure build on it. And bro, I will tell you that is hands down the best foam. The best foam stand I've ever had on a beer that I've made. That beer pours beautiful.
Interesting.
And like no joke. And sure, it's anecdotal, but you can pour that beer every time next to any other beer that I'm pouring, and the foam quality is better, man. The foam quality is better.
And a lot of people don't think about these things. And I know exactly what you're talking about. I think I gave her some B-roll love. She was in your intro video. I think that was her.
Yeah.
The first video you put out on YouTube, that was Maggie.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And for whatever reason, I mean, not for whatever reason, but I was watching, do you know the channel Doing the Most?
I've not seen that, no.
He's a mead channel, Bryce.
Okay.
I've talked to him a little bit. It's been a minute, though. He had a kid and pretty much stopped putting out content. And I get it. I know how time-consuming this is. But he made this video. It was called, like, exposing brew tubers and the ways that they can, like, trick you and stuff like that. And I was watching this video, and he's got... I mean, some of it, it got me to click, but when I was watching, I was like, dude, this is like, I don't do any of this shit. He's talking about how some brew tubers put a little bit of dish soap in the bottom of the glass to make it like a way better pour and this and that. I'm like, I don't think they are. You're giving me ideas though. Like if anything, I might try this out and waste some beer on this. But everything had a lot to do with like the perfect pour and carbonation. Yeah. And he's like, a lot of these brew tubers, they're pouring their beers out, the same beer. One of them's cold and one of them's at room temperature. And it's going to be better when it's warmer, because you're just going to get more head and stuff like that. I was like, I didn't know that at all. I literally like I thought I was going to get called out and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, you're not exposing shit. You're teaching me these ways. And he even brings it up like the way like Coca-Cola film or McDonald's will film Coca-Cola being poured in slow motion stuff. And it was kind of like an angry video, kind of one of those videos where I wish maybe I had some more shine. So maybe just call people. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it got me to click, and it actually taught me some ways to make some slow motion pours better. But it's just what you were talking about. It's one of those things where I don't think a lot of people think of. But when you have it, especially when you're in Prague, because I have had the side pours out here.
Yep.
Sometimes they're not as good, but in Prague, they're spot on every time. Like Chris Radiation was talking about, there's 3 different pours. One of them's the milk pour. One of them's the one where they pour it, and then it's like a sundae, and they let it sit for a couple minutes, and they come back to it.
Yeah.
That was like the best pour I've ever had. That was at Omnipollo. You know that one? Stockholm.
No, I don't. Okay.
Omnipollo's the huge brewery. They're known for their pastry sours and their breweries in an old church. It's got a crazy gothic, cool vibe to it.
Yep.
I didn't even know about it till I was there. And then when we were there, I mean, every guy I was with was like, we have to go to Omnipollo. When I was there, I was like, this is badass. And it was cool because I had no idea what to expect. Everyone's like, hey, let's go to this cool new brewery, Sierra Nevada or Treehouse. And you end up going there and you're like, this kind of sucks. This didn't live up to the hype. But
sure,
you go into a rad brewery or anything. You go into a movie and you don't know what to expect, and it's really good. I think you're going to like it more. You're going to have just a better experience. But that was the best pour I've ever had in my life. And that wasn't in Prague. That was in Stockholm. That was in Sweden. But they're doing.
That's interesting, man. Yeah, I'm gonna have to coach up the serving staff to drop a little dab of Dawn in the bottom of those glasses before they start pouring.
I'll send you the video of that. And I'm not talking shit by any means about the video. It just wasn't what I thought. And I'm the king of clickbait. You know, I'm not one to talk at all. I'll have a black eye. This is our last video. This is it. Say goodnight. No, at the end of the day, he was teaching me how to movie magic stuff. You know, he had the 60 frames versus the 120 and this and that. But I didn't think about the pour as much as he did. Not even close to that. I just pour it and shine the light on it, and we're doing it. We're going.
Sure.
Yeah. Still want to brew the Heineken. You can't get on. What's up? I'm just reading some of the chat. We're an hour 10 in.
Oh, I was gonna ask you. So like, it's still hot down there. I mean, what's your go-to beer this time of year?
You know what? It's funny you said that, because I'm going to make a video. You know, it's so hard to put out. It's not hard. Everything's hard to put out on YouTube, but it's so time consuming to put out grain to glass. I was like, I'm going to just make a video of my top 5 favorite beers that you can get that I think are in circulation. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's tough to get the Blind Pig. It's tough to get the Pliny the Elder. It's tough to get the Treehouse, the Julius. But there's like 5 or 6 beers that I really love, you know, anywhere from Bell's 2 Hearted Ales to like a Mickey's 40. You know, I miss having a Mickey's 40. I always thought it was way better than Heineken. I thought it was way better than, what was the other one? Stella Artois. And I know it's at the bottom of the shelf and it's $3. So, you know, perception is reality and everyone thinks it sucks. But I guarantee you put a blind taste contest next to Mickey's and all those other beers, people are going to have no clue. I'm not saying they're going to guess the Mickey's is better. They're just...
Sure.
I like the Bells. I like the Sierra Nevada hazy little thing. I think everybody gets that. I would love to see some more Deschutes out here. Do you get Deschutes where you're at?
I don't know if Deschutes is around here. I mean, Deschutes was always beer that I wanted to get my hands on, because good. Back in the day when I first started getting into home brewing, I would listen to the Brewing Classic Styles, the Jamil show on Brewing Network, and they would always reference, so like Mirror Pond was behind Sierra Nevada as, you know, one of the best classic examples of American pale ale. Yeah. And then they also had Black Butte Porter, which was really high on the list. So that was when I was really into my BJCP stuff. Okay. And I was learning, and I wanted to get those beers so I could taste them, so I could know those styles and stuff like that. I did go out to Deschutes one time. It was for some beer conference.
Portland or Bend?
We were able to go in there. Portland.
That's the one I went to. Yeah.
Portland. They had Craft Brewers Conference out there maybe like, I don't know, 7 years ago or something. I went out there before. Maybe things got really wild. I don't know. I don't know if things are still wild out there or not. But yeah, the world's crazy, especially over there. But got a super chat here from Juvenal Hernandez. He has tipped $15. Much love, man. Juvenal's always showing love. Dawn is for the ducks, not for the beer pours. Agreed tenfold, man. Much love. Get over here. No, but go check the video out. He's actually got a lot of kind of tips and tricks on how to get that beer pour looking good. Back off, or don't. Seriously. That's wild. Northwest Small Batch Brewing. Yeah, I have Deschutes. Yeah, Steven's gonna have it up there. I mean, that's like, if you can get your hands on some fresh squeezed or pine drops, it's killer. And then, can you get 21st Amendment where you're at? They're from San Francisco. I don't think we get 21st Amendment. That's too far. And I'm familiar with their stuff too, because that was all. That's all Brewing Network stuff. They used to have Sean O'Sullivan on the show all the time, talking to him, and they were one of the first ones out there to go in cans. Man, they were an early can adopter. Yeah, I've never even seen them in a bottle. Yeah, because I mean, shoot, that had to be, gosh. maybe that had to be late 2000s when they were going into cans.
Late 2000s.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before the
They
boom.
got into that space early. Yeah,
Yeah,
People
before
are
the
still
boom.
throwing everything in bombers at that point, and they're
Right.
dropping stuff in cans. Yeah,
And not only that,
yeah,
but
they were ahead of the curve.
there was some things at that time that would piss me off, like the flying dog, or what was it? They're doing the 4-pack of bottles. I was like, I remember when craft beer was first showing up in my stores, I was like, fuck this shit. You're selling me more. You're selling me less beer for more. Like, how did this work? It went from it went from 6-pack bottles to 4-pack, and it's more. The 120 boil.
Yep. Yeah.
I think Green Flash was a 4-pack of bottles.
Yeah. I remember. I mean, this is flashing me back to all this old stuff. I remember getting Dead Guy Ale from Rogue. Do you remember? Do you remember Dead Guy?
Yeah, they were up there in Portland too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember getting a 6-pack. That was early on in my homebrew days, and that was when it was probably, I think, maybe the last time I drank that 6-pack as I was brewing, and by the time I got a little ways into the process, I'm like, I think this might be a bad idea, because I was doing full boil on my kitchen stove, and doing all sorts of dangerous things. But yeah, Dead Guy, man, that's a throwback for me.
They were big. They were really big.
Yeah,
they were so big, and I haven't even thought about them. I remember the skeleton. It was always a cool logo. It always reminded me of the band Social Distortion. Yeah. Should I do a couple more Jello shots? You doing okay on time?
Yeah, running. I got a little bit longer. Yeah.
All right, we got a half an hour, or 3 hours in our system. All y'all's know we're gonna come on. Noam's gonna miss his flight. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, man. Sparger Brewing just talks about Black Butte, man. That's a great beer, and I think they're doing that beer NA now too. I don't know if any of you guys have had that. I haven't tried that yet, but I did see that they're putting out Black Butte Porter as an NA. I think that's pretty fascinating. It's going to be interesting to see where that whole NA thing goes. Patrick Sandy, you can get 21A in Ohio. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I don't hit up the beer shelves all that much. But yeah, Rogue was one that they were big into bombers. I remember going into my spot, my beer spot. It was a craft beer place and homebrew place, was Siciliano's in Grand Rapids. I don't know if any of you've ever been Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's a great brew shop, really good people. Place is sold, but I'm sure they're still doing good stuff there. But yeah, man, they always used to have those almost a whole shelf of bombers from Rogue, man. That was fun stuff. Yeah, the Lagunitas brown sugar. Yeah, man. Lagunitas was always exciting for me, because I mean most of what I learned about brewing was all Brewing Network stuff back in the day, and so I mean they were really heavy West Coast. They had all those West Coast boys on there talking beer and everything like that, and so having Jeremy Marshall on from Lagunitas talking through all those beers. So whenever you can get some Lagunitas, that was always exciting. So Jorge's had the Black Butte NA, thinking it was pretty good. How was the body on it, man? Was it lean? Was it too thin?
I heard brown sugar. I heard the Lagunitas.
Brown sugar, baby.
Brown sugar. SUGGA. Yeah, I remember that beer. That was right when
Beer Quiet Nation said founders in Grand Rapids, they killed the best beer they ever made. What was that beer? I'd be interested to know. I'm pretty familiar with their catalog. But yeah, they've had a bunch of change. Lagunitas was my first beers. Yeah, man.
So I pulled a beer for this. I had like 1 gallon of this beer left. I wanted all the others unknown to try it, and I pulled I tried to get a taster of it earlier just to clear the lines, and I got a kick on it, and I just went back for it again, and I grabbed the keg and I lifted it, and it still felt like there was something in there. And I just poured this, so I don't know. Maybe it was just like a CO2 little beer bubble I got in there earlier. But
Got that pour, baby.
I got the pour. I'm gonna leave it at that though, because I want some of these guys to have my home brew. Because there's only 2 friends I've had in Knoxville to have my beer. And
Hey, Beer Coin Nation, you should get over to if you like that founder stuff, you should get over to Gray Line, because a lot of those old school founders beers were Nate Walser, and Nate owns Gray Line. And I know they have some really nice Azaka based I think their main IPA, I think it's called Mozaka, blend of Mosaic and Azaka creatively named, but that's always been a big seller over there. If you get a chance, if you haven't been over to Gray Line in Grand Rapids, you really should. They've got some great stuff.
Got a question from a YouTuber. My wife is going to Vegas with her sister for a week for Thanksgiving. Should I go to Nashville, Asheville, Knoxville, or Memphis? I'm gonna go with Asheville all the way. But it's funny because I had Kyle over a week ago, and he's just like, dude, I can't believe how rad Knoxville is. I do not remember it being this rad. And he's been in Asheville for 15 years, so he's seen the city kind of like every city. I think nowadays is like this ripe fruit. I think every city has like a good 10 years to it before the heroin or the bums and stuff come into it. And he was saying, I'd rather live in Knoxville. And I was like, whoa, for real? He's like, dude, it's cheaper and cleaner, and it's on the up. And I was like, I think you're right. I think Knoxville has a good 10 years in it, but I think Asheville, the word's out, and he's got some weird stories, hanging out with buddies that, they've got 4-year-old kids or whatever, and they're picking up syringes on the ground and they accidentally throw it away, or they poke themselves. Now this kid's got to go get tested for AIDS and stuff like that. It's like, Knoxville's not that bad. That's like San Francisco. That's like San Francisco or Portland vibes, when you start seeing syringes outside your business or outside your house, like, I don't know. There's just there's weird stuff in Asheville too. Like these communes that like accept everybody, like whether you're homeless or you're on drugs, they'll just like take in everybody and they'll give you clean syringes and stuff. There's some weird shit in Asheville. Like there's some freaks kind of come out at night, but you can say that about any city. But if you're hanging out and day drinking and you want to have the coolest breweries and you want to go to the coolest breweries and be inside by 9 or 10 o'clock, I'd go with Asheville.
Sure.
Yeah, they've got way better beer than Knoxville. Way better and more. But I think Knoxville is, I think it's on the up. So if those are looking to buy real estate or do an Airbnb or just move,
How long have you been there now?
Dude, I've been here for almost a year and a half. Time.
Okay, year and a half.
Yeah, sure. I know. And I started saying that in San Diego. I was like, I'm going to move to Asheville or Knoxville. And everyone's like, shut up, man. But I don't know. I've always been kind of the guy where if I get a idea in my head, I'll kind of just go with it. And I just think that was a move. They're like, you just can't do that. You can't just pick up your life and just move, 3,000 miles away and just kind of start over. And I'm like, well, I've kind of got a YouTube channel, which means I work from home. I'm not making, a ton of money off it, but it could help out, as long as I can, pour beer or whatever. I don't think I need a roommate. It's going to pay me a lot more than what I would, be charging a roommate, in the South, I think. But I'm kind of at the crossroads right now where, what's up, dog? Super chat. Jonathan Elliott. What's up, dude? In the house, man. Pacific Northwest. But, Adam, so here's kind of my thing right now is I've got really weird money. I've just got weird money. $10.99 daytime YouTube, and then at night times I pour beer, and home lenders don't like that. Even though it's W-2, they want salaried people, which is ridiculous. Because all the career bartenders out there, if you do get fired, who's getting a job faster the next day? It's the career bartender who's networked in that town. Anybody who's been working at a place for 5, 10, whatever, 2 years, you get fired, you let go, your place goes out of business. They're going to get a job faster than the guy who's the sales manager of this and that, and he gets let go. Some of my friends who were sales managers or just made really good money, 6-figure jobs, and they got let go for COVID, they never got those jobs back. So they got into real estate now, or they got into selling cars now, or they got into starting selling insurance now. But as far as like the lenders don't trust the service industry people, it doesn't make sense because I think that we're the closest people that are like, hey, we can just get that job tomorrow. I mean, people tip 20%. I don't care if it's New Mexico or it's Philadelphia or whatever. Forget what your hourly is. If you have foot traffic coming in, you're living off tips, and we're a great culture. Not a lot of countries tip 20%, 20, 25%. So my money is just bad. My money is just bad. And I know what they're going to do when I get my tax return. I'm going to try to get pre-approved by myself without a cosigner. And they're going to say, well, if you do another W-2 or another year as a server, you look safer, or we could do some program now where we could sign you up. You know, your credit's good. You've got a lump sum, but you've only been working for, I don't know, a year and a half as a W-2 person in Tennessee. We're going to give you a higher APR. You know, so I'm going to be paying more. And I was like, if that happens, there's two things I'm going to do. I'm going to pay that higher APR, or I'm going to sell everything that I have, and I'm going to move to Costa Rica, or I'm going to move to Panama. So that's what's kind of going on with me right now. I'm waiting on a tax return. I'm trying to put as much W-2 money together as I can right now. I'm actually thinking about working like even a second job, but it's not going to help because they're going to want a couple of years of W-2, and I just haven't been here long enough. So we'll see. I don't know. But on the other side of that, like I have a friend who's moving to Panama right now. I've got friends that live in Tamarindo, Montezuma, a couple places in Costa Rica. There's a lot of expats that are moving to Costa Rica, and you can go live on the beach down there for like $600. That's what my mom did in Uruguay. So I'm kind of just thinking like, I might just be out of here, you know. But it's one of those things like once you leave, you know, unless you're forced to come back because your visa or your citizenship thing runs out, it's kind of tough to come back. You know, it's kind of tough to come back unless you already have like a house lined up here. But, you know, you keep finding better places to live that's cheaper. You can't just go back to California and rent, you know, like. So that's kind of my thing at the end of the day. I'm 38. I've got no dog. I've got a girl I'm kind of seeing, no kids. Like, let's just go live in a Spanish-speaking country for a year. So that's kind of where I'm at, but this could be still like 5-6 months down the road. But yeah, to answer your question, I've been here for almost 18 months, bro.
Yeah, time flies, man. I've been down here for, gosh, well, it's 3 years now. It just moves, man.
You bought that house though.
Yeah.
Was that the first house you bought, or did you own a house before that?
No, when my wife and I got married, we bought a house, and so we lived in that house for like 19 years.
See, that's the best thing in the world, because like younger people that buy houses, like their money is so much stronger than ours and mine. You know, if someone can buy a house when they're 20 years old or 25 years old, they're pretty much always in the house game because that money's going to roll over into more house money. You know, and the older you get, the tougher it's to get into. And good for you. Good for you. And that's pretty much most people I know that were able to stay in San Diego because they bought houses in the 70s and the 80s, and those $200,000 houses are like $2 million now. And that's how they were able to stay there, you know, because you could never do that now. I don't care if you and your wife both make, you know, $80,000 each or $100,000.
Sure.
What are you going to buy a $900,000 house with 20% down? No one's got $200,000 to, you know, just put down. But you do have that if you own a house or you have equity and shit like that. So this YouTube thing is going to be the death of me. I love YouTube, but at the end of the day, it is it's a nightmare to get a lender. Nobody wants to deal with 1099 stuff. Yeah. So I'm going to, you know, I'll always make YouTube videos, but I'm going to be like renting and, you know, San Watanejo with the dudes from Shawshank Redemption, you know, like I'm going down with this YouTube ship. I'm just going to renter for life, man. But I just wanted to come out here. I thought I'd own a house by now. I thought it'd be like the Clawhammer house where I could get into the rafters and hit, you know, put some studs up on the ceiling and put some studio lights and just do kind of what they're doing. But I still rent, so I don't even like touch this house. I ain't putting up posters. I want my deposit back. But, you know, at the end of the day, I still got my health. Life's good. Still have my penis.
All important things.
All important things. Money's, I can live without roommates and stuff like that. I just have really bad money. I'm like one step up from just having cash, like a drug dealer. They want the cash under that pillow. They just want the W-2 guy that's just had the same job steady for 2 years. And it doesn't matter if he makes less than us or less than a bartender. It just looks better for their algorithm or for whatever reason, like a full-time bartender that's making 80 to 100 grand is more of a liability than the manager who's making $50,000, but their 24 months has been a flat line. It's not up and down and, seasonal for race season, and then it's slow for winter for the bartender guy.
Sure.
Yeah, but we'll see, man. At the end of the day, life's good.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I'm glad that the new spot, Sandra, that I'm going to, they're supportive of the content creation thing too. I'll be interested to see where it goes. I mean, what I would really love is, I like, when I was first getting into the industry, it wasn't the easiest to find stuff out about the pro side. Mm-hmm. And there's still plenty of people that apprentice into this industry. And I would, my goal is, and you can, people could laugh at it or whatever, but I would love to be somebody that has a channel that can help like the next generation of people that want to apprentice into, or at least people that maybe want to see if they want to get into it. At least they can walk into it with a little bit of knowledge of what's going on in the professional workspace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Would you like to do way more hands-on YouTube stuff? Kind of how when you first started your channel, you were a lot more in the back of the brew house, and then I think as your channel kind of went on and evolved, it was more kind of Q&A format. Do you want to get back to the hands-on stuff, or is that just interfere too much with the work day? Is it just too much in the way of people's jobs and what they're trying to do? And they've got the hose, and you've got, I want to film this. Everyone shut up. And they're like, what are you talking about?
Sure.
We gotta get the job done.
And really for us, like, I basically only film around stuff like, and especially when I was working on a system that was so manual, like it is at Cartridge, I basically just recorded the downtime while I was watching something happen. Mm-hmm. You're like, when I'm mashing in and I'm dropping grain. So like my brew day videos are actually, the bulk of it is during the mash, because that's when I'm just standing on the mash tun. I've got to monitor my water dropping. I've got to add salt, acid, blah, 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 stuff like that. But that's most of my downtime during the brew day. And so that's where most of the content comes from. But I do think that I would like to have a blend. I have been doing the monthly industry pro interview where I talk to other pro brewers and things like that. That's been a lot of fun, and I've just started dropping those and the Q&As as podcasts on Spotify, and Apple Podcasts or whatever. But I've enjoyed doing that too. So I would like to have a mix going forward, a little bit of the pro brewer stuff, some of the Q&A stuff, and then still some hands-on in the brewery things as well.
What about doing kind of what I do and just kind of getting away from the brew thing? Like, hey, let's be involved in the beer. Kind of, I'm ripping off Marshall's thing from Brewlosophy. You know Brewlosophy, right? Yep. He was on the stream and he was like, my favorite thing about the beer thing, he's got a job. He's a psychologist at a women's prison or a women's jail or psych ward. He's booked up. He's not going to open up a brewery anytime soon. I don't think he does the home brewing awards. I don't think he gives a shit about winning any medals or this and that. We're kind of on the same page. Like, we just want to be around beer. I want to be around beer. I want to be at events. What about just making a video of like a blind taste contest video? Or like, hey, I'm going to make this video. I will make this video, and I'll call you out in this video. I'll call a couple of people out. Be like, hey, these are my 5 favorite beers right now. I've seen a lot come and go. These are, I think, accessible. I think in all 50 states. Write some shit. Write some dumb jokes. Slow motion chugs, whatever. Some GIFs, some memes, people throwing up, blowing it, shit like that. I think people will stick around for maybe 4 or 5 minutes. And just something like that where it's like, here's people want to know about beers. That's the whole
Sure.
pulse for the untapped format. I think most people
Sure.
just want to know, like, I want delicious, good tasting beer that's affordable, and I don't want to have to drive, 5 hours to get it.
Sure.
And sometimes you see these YouTube videos where it's just like, hey, this guy, I'm just going to go back to the classics and drink like beers from the 90s and has like 500,000 views. You're like, how the hell did that happen? How in the hell? I don't want to watch some 400-pound dude in overalls drink, Red Dog or
Yeah.
Red Hook or whatever. But these
Yeah.
videos are out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just,
Yeah, I think that probably because so much of it is like so much of my background and what I enjoy about it is the learning education side of it. And I think that for me, I think it's an interesting thing because there's not a ton of pros that are doing what I'm doing, and so it changes my visibility in the industry. You know what I mean? And like when I go to conferences, like people come up and talk to me now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so sometimes it's about a little bit of putting yourself out there. And listen, I never say that I know everything. Usually what I say is, based on what I've been reading and researching, this is the technique I'm using right now, and I'm going to see what it does for me. You know what I mean? I try to be research based, learn new stuff, and then put it into action. And so yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what it does for me career wise, because I do think it opens up opportunity. And it's giving me access to different platforms. Increasingly, I have different people from different avenues hitting me up and starting to talk about, well, hey, maybe you can come on this podcast. So it's one of those things where I'm just kind of sticking with what I love and seeing ultimately what doors end up opening up from it. You know what I mean?
So 100%. So is the touchdown for you to be around beer, but not to be brewing 40 hours a week in a brew house, doing the mashing out and the mashing in? I mean, is it to not necessarily write a book, but is it just to be more, I don't know, like Brad Smith or John Palmer? Is it kind of more so like, hey, I just want to be maybe on a microphone or in front of a camera where I could be teaching people more than in a brew house? Or
yeah, I want to be the guy that has a foot in kind of both worlds. Like right now, like some of the people I've been talking to as far as podcast stuff, some people want to talk to me about leadership stuff. You know what I mean? But I mean, big picture, what I want to do is, and I still want to do for a long time is, I still want to have enough of a foot in the brewery to kind of scratch that itch, because I do love the process.
yeah,
But the perfect thing for me is combining. I'm
later,
always
Charles.
learning.
Later,
I'm always
Jaggers.
learning, and yeah, and then I can share that with people. That's the ideal situation.
Have you ever thought about writing a book?
Full well.
Do you have the time?
I don't have the time. I think that if I did, it might be more on the management leadership stuff, because and I don't want to sound douchey when I say this, but I think that the thing that I'm probably best at is forming relationships, teaching other people, and helping people grow. I taught at-risk kids for 10 years before getting into brewing, and that's really my bread and butter. If I can fuse that with the beer world, then I think that's really where I want to be. Because like, dude, having a beer win a medal is great, but the work that I did with Josh and Maggie at Cartridge is the thing that makes me feel like choosing to leave the house and not spend that 40 hours a week with my family is worth it. That's
Right.
the stuff that's worth it.
Right.
You know.
No, I like that. That's a good
Because
story.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man.
So where are you at right now with your YouTube vibe? You know, because there's just YouTube blues. You know, as somebody who does have a real job. I mean, I pour beers at night. I think a monkey could pour beers, but anyway, you actually have a blue collar job. You're a manager. You've got people under you. I don't ever want to be in that position.
Sure.
I mean, with Homebrew for Life, we're filming on Saturday, and obviously have to be like, you know, shut up, turn your phones off, this and that. That's fine to do every, you know, so often, but I don't want to do that every day.
Sure.
And if I do move up as a beer tender or bartender or whatever, more often than not, there's a pay cut because managers or whatever, they don't get tips and this and that.
Yep.
But where are you at right now with your YouTube psyche? Are you feeling good? Are you in the blues, or are you getting the clicks and the comments?
Honestly, I feel good about it. I really do.
Yeah. Good.
I don't know. It's working, and I feel like especially with the job change, I'm going to be learning a ton, and so that's going to be a lot of content for me. And I don't know, man. It feels right. Like it feels right. Me doing, and some of the stuff that I've been doing recently is just, somebody asks a question and then I pull up, like something off of Top Crop, which is a newsletter for Omega, and they just had this killer little blog post, research-based thing, and I'll read that and discuss it. You know what I mean? I just love that stuff. If there's anything that I can do to help other people understand what they love better, it's just rewarding. So no, man, I'm still in a good spot with it.
Good. I'm glad to hear. And for those who don't know, Adam and I, we've talked about this for a little bit. He was hitting me up. Congratulations on 4,000 subscribers, bro.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah. Adam came on and he hit me up and was like, hey, can I come on, this and that? And I was very hesitant because I've seen people come and go. Everyone's came and gone. And I'm not saying that as a good thing. The brew cabins, the pros with Peters, the long hiatuses with Portly Gentlemen, Short Circuited. It's a very time-consuming process with small reward. If you're looking at it for like financial goals, it's very small. Not, and at the end of the day, it's like, well, if you love it, do it. It's like, but you also can't be working for free your whole life. Sooner or later you need some conversion, stuff like that. But anyway, I told Adam, I was like, you got to kind of stick around for a little bit. And my hat's off to you, man. Like, you are putting out content still. You've pretty much been in the game since I've been to Knoxville. I feel like the day I moved to Knoxville, it was like me and you, man. Richard Dreyfuss and Bill Murray. What about Bob? No, I'm just kidding, man. I
started releasing in March of last year, and I think
yes,
I just put up over 400. Yeah, over 400 videos as of right now. So
good grind, man. Good grind. And shout out to everybody who's in here who watches both of our channels.
Appreciate it.
And I'm always thinking about like what to do next, or how to pretty much the way I look at homebrewing is kind of like adapt or die. You got to do something. And I look at a lot of videos on YouTube that are so easy to make. Like, people are making alcohol at home really fast. And I think that brings a lot of people in because they don't have to buy a $300 mash tun or a $200 kettle.
Sure.
If you already have the stuff laying around and you can make alcohol, and anybody in here, you can make so much alcohol without even thinking about it. You're like, you could look at this video for 10 seconds. You're like, dude, I got way better things and stuff like that. I think the Brew Show hits on some videos like that. I think there's some channels out there. So I think like in 2024, I want to have a little bit more, not fun, but like, hey, let's make prison juice. Let's make let's try, like, what were they drinking in that movie Blood In, Blood Out? Like, let's try to reenact that.
For sure.
Stuff like that. So thanks, Bruce. Thanks for the 40K. I got the 40K, man. The Brew Show passed me up, dog. I ain't bitter, man. I promised myself I wouldn't cry. But No, young grasshopper, just surpassed Sensei, and I'm super proud of him, man. Because just on paper, most channels they're not built to last. There's just not people just don't there's not a lot of people that care about the hobby that we're all into.
Sure.
Or at some point, like go to your 5 favorite breweries in Ohio and shoot your vlog. Turn your phone this way. And just do a 5 or 8 minute vlog. Adam makes beer. Here's where to check out, what to do, who's got the best kitchen. This is a brewer's brewery spot. This is a family spot. This is a speakeasy lounge spot. Something like that. Sure. You don't need to wait for fermentation to be done or even start on videos like that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like I love the whole YouTube thing, and for a person like me, like I wouldn't have a lot of friends if I didn't drink beer. I just wouldn't.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm stealing Marshall's thing. It's not about opening up a brewery. It's not about winning medals. It's just like being around craft beer community.
Yeah, being around the scene, man.
Being around the scene. I'm going to do one more nightcap. Are you good? Can we do one more?
I think I'm going to bounce, dude.
You're out of here?
I'm going to be up at 5. So,
I know.
brother.
You got to get
I
up early.
appreciate it. I hate to cut out early.
No, I know. And it is, it's 11 o'clock our time, but I think you're on to something. I'm actually kind of glad you said that. But stay on the grind, man. Good luck with your new opportunity. Big shout out to everybody who's in here right now. We still got 66 people. I'd keep going, but I got to wake up at 8 in the morning and clean this whole house and pick up Gnome from the airport at 1 p.m. But just want to give a lot of love to people who are supporting the stream, supporting his channel, supporting my channel. Put his YouTube video, click on that link and check out Sonder. I don't know if he's going to be involved with any of the social media or stuff like that. I would imagine not. But go check them out. Creep on their stuff. That's what's cool about Instagram. It's anonymous. You can just creep all day. No one knows. And just thanks again to everybody. Adam, what do you got, man? Sign us off, bro.
Really appreciate it. Once again, it's good getting together and chopping it up. It's always fun talking to you guys. Appreciate all the support in the chat. And if you haven't yet, check out the channel, check out the playlists. There's a whole bunch of brewery content in there, Q&A stuff and brewer interviews. So check that stuff out and shoot me questions if you want me to ever talk about a topic.
Sounds good. It's Adam from Adam Makes Beer. Thanks again to everybody. Have a good weekend. Probably won't be some content on my end for a little bit, so watch his channel in the meantime. Always watch every BrewTuber's videos, even doing the most when he's talking about how he's going to expose us all. But anyway, let's get out of here. Let's go to bed. And Adam, I'm just going to hit it right now, man. This is it for me. I'll text you some nudes after this, but I'm just going to shut this computer down right now, man. But thanks again, Braj. I appreciate it.
All right, brother.